And who knows if he's going to play? It's a high ankle sprain. The jury is out.
Mm-hmm.
But if this game is as important as we all claim it is, and he could even practice in a limited way, is it almost a game he has to play, even if he's 70%?
To me, it feels like yes. This feels like a game where Saquon comes back miraculously from a high ankle sprain or regular ankle sprain, whatever one it actually is, because we've heard multiple things. But if he's walking around, it's not a bad high ankle sprain, whatever the grade is, 1 or 2 or whatever it may be. But the reason that Saquon has to play is twofold. One, they miss the explosiveness that he brings. Now, if you have an ankle sprain or any kind of injury, hamstring, whatever it may be, shoulder, and you're questionable and you end up playing. You end up playing, and the thing you really have to deal with is the pain and mitigating how you function but not put more stress on your body. An interesting happens, though, in a football game. You kind of stop forgetting about the pain.
Right.
It goes away. Now, if something acute happens to it again, maybe it comes back. But if you're good enough to be walking around and to partially going through practice as Saquon is, I think that he's planning on playing this week. And more importantly, the Giants need him to. They need the explosives, and they also need the threat of the run game. The only way that the Giants get back to doing what they were doing a year ago, which is Saquon or Daniel Jones, making some pinpoint throws and play action, or Daniel Jones keeping the ball after sticking into the running back's belly and scooting around the corner for 15 yards or whatever it may be. The only way that works is if there's a threat of major explosion in the run game. And even if he can't do it, the threat of it gives the Giants a competitive advantage. So I think he's going to play. I thought this back when he first had the regular ankle sprain. He later said it was a high ankle sprain. But I think this means so much more to not only him, but the Giants. It's too early to say it's must win, but this is a must-win game for the Giants.
It kind of feels as important as a Week 4 game can be, and he's got to play. And you look at last week's game, it's been a week now, Thursday night against San Francisco. They, abandoned the run. Yep. They didn't try to run the football, which led to fewer play actions than we're used to, which led to fewer, what you said with Daniel Jones, tuck the ball and run. Mm-hmm. They felt like a different team. Now, you could argue, they're going to lose to the Niners anyway. Seattle's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But still.
I didn't mind Saquon not playing last week. I get it.
Different.
Short week. It's a short week.
But you saw the effect of him not playing.
Exactly. And
yes.
It's a real effect. And think about the comeback against Arizona. So much of that was Saquon.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So much of that was running the ball and him making these, spinning and getting these first downs and dead play, turning it into something, and then let's stick it in the belly of Saquon, pull it out. Oh, we got a play action pass behind it. Like, so much of what the Giants have built in the Brian Daboll, Joe Shane era is based on Saquon Barkley. And Saquon also has a rep to fight. That rep is, I get hurt, and I am unavailable.
So who makes this decision?
Ultimately, I think it comes down to Saquon. I mean, I think the Giants, Ronnie Barnes, their head athletic trainer, maybe they're going to give their suggestions, but ultimately, I think Saquon makes this decision.
Well,
I think he's going to play. I know he wants to. And so it's ultimately going to come down to, do you feel good enough? Can you fight the pain enough to go play this game? And it's weird because it is so early, and you don't want to do extra damage, but this game means a ton to the New York Giants, especially with the schedule, as we've detailed many times. After this, you got to go to Miami, you got to go to Buffalo. Now, even if he does play and he's healthy in those games, I mean, that's a tough hustle. You know what I mean? Those two AFC East teams on the road. This game is must win, and if he doesn't play, they have a much lesser chance of winning this game.
He can't play, Tiki. He cannot play.
Why?
Look, first of all, the history tells you Saquon Barkley, we need to learn from him,
but he needs to change that history. I think that's what this comes down to.
And by the way, the history I'm referring to, 2019, he missed 3 games with a low ankle sprain. Wasn't the same player for those first couple games back.
True. He looked like he was still limping around.
2021, high ankle sprain, missed 4 games. That first game back, 25 yards on 9 carries. he was pitiful. I have been there, done that as a Giant fan with Saquon Barkley off these sprained ankles, and it's never pretty. And then it only prolongs getting regular Saquon back. Now, I'm with you. I am on record. This is winning in. They should hand out rally towels. The Giants win Monday night. I think they're going to the playoffs. But they paid Andrew Thomas now this huge extension, and that's, I think, just as big a deal, if not bigger, than Saquon as to why they could not compete offensively for San Francisco. Your left side of the line is back intact. You just paid Daniel Jones, and we're not going down a money thing. Wan'Dale Robinson is back. You brought in Darren Waller, who you haven't had. There should be enough weapons now with the left side of that offensive line intact that this Giant team shouldn't have to risk the future of Saquon Barkley this year to go win this football game, and I don't want to risk it.
I'm assuming that if he's playing, then he's healthy enough to be explosive. And what do the Giants miss most when Saquon is out?
The explosive plays.
Explosive plays. You just don't see them. And look, I like their talent. I like Paris Campbell. I like Isaiah Hodgins. I think he's a really good route runner. I like Jalen Hyatt. I like Darren Waller, but I haven't seen I've seen one from Jalen Hyatt. I haven't seen these big explosive plays. The one guy who I know can do it is Saquon. So if he's healthy enough to practice, I think he's going to play.
Well, and the other thing you're missing, Sean, here's the reality. When Saquon Barkley's not on the field, Daniel Jones isn't as good.
You said
and
that.
I tried to explain that to you 2 weeks ago. Your retort was one drive last year against Green Bay, and then we saw the San Francisco game. We saw another example of what he is without Saquon Barkley. So here's the problem. No one expects that he's going to be 100%.
No.
I don't think he will be.
He's not going 60 yards and making
that's the
juke it and
Yeah,
making
but
guys miss,
Sean, if you believe it's a win-and-get-in kind of game, and yesterday on this show you said if they lose, you're better off tanking, okay?
I agree with all
so
that.
in your brain, this is an extreme game in terms of the pendulum of this season. Then Saquon Barkley, even at 65%, gives you a better chance to win that football game, and you wheel his ass on the field,
That's right,
and he
that's right.
plays.
By the way, I think he wants to.
That's the problem. He wants to, but Tiki, I agree, the explosive plays and everything. There won't be explosive plays because his career has showed us off these ankle injuries, they don't exist.
But here's the thing this is the other side of this conversation. Yes, it means so much for week 4. Yes, he probably wants to play. It sucks that he's got another injury. But the fact that he has another injury early in a season, in a critical moment for this Giant team, it is the reason he has to play. Right? If he misses,
like win one for the skipper?
No. If he misses 3 weeks, like it was originally stated that he would, off a high ankle, if he misses 3 weeks, are the Giants at the end of the year going, oh man, those critical weeks in the early part of the season, Saquon wasn't available for us. We ended up 1-6, and the season was lost. Right? He becomes expendable at that point.
Well, but here's the
he
other...
doesn't have a leg, no pun intended, to stand on to argue that he needs to be compensated and be a giant for life. It just doesn't bode well for him if he doesn't become available at the most critical point early on in the season for the Giants. So I know he wants to play. I know he wants to. Well, the question is, what's he going to look like? And to me, that doesn't even matter.
But this is the thing, and you said it's probably up to Barkley and pain tolerance and all of that. But you just laid out something we didn't even touch on yet, which is, when he redid that deal and didn't miss any camp, a lot of incentives, Giants playoffs, all this other stuff to get to.
Yeah, the incentives were. I mean, he doesn't care about those incentives.
He doesn't. Then why didn't he just agree to sign the tag to begin with?
Because it wasn't about the money; it was about respect.
Exactly. He needed something back.
It was about respect,
and he got something, even if it was small.
But even if they're not attainable, the only way to attain him is to get him back on the field quicker, and I just hope that that's not in the back of his mind and the team is suffering as a result.
He's not making decisions based off his incentives.
If anything, he wants to be on the field because he knows what I know, what Tiki knows, and you failed to admit. They have a better chance of winning a football game that they really need if Saquon's on the field. Now, what I'm also about to say is kind of cold-hearted, but it's the reality. Saquon Barkley, in the position he plays in the modern NFL, it is a week-to-week, year-to-year proposition. If Saquon Barkley can't stay healthy this year and he stinks, the Giants will dump him. They tagged him because it was the right business decision.
Yeah.
if you believe that this season is virtually on the line on Monday night, what do you care about what he looks like in week 6 or 7 if week 6 and 7 don't mean a damn thing because you just lost on a Monday night to Seattle and now your season is down the drain? You need him out there.
I don't think
and
you
the
do.
future be damned.
I think that as long as you get this left side of the offensive line intact, which it looks like these guys are going to play,
They're going to be fine?
I think they're going to win the game.
Well, they're going to be fine with Matt Breida? They're going to be fine with Gavin Brightwell?
Yes.
No big deal?
The reason they weren't is because they could not operate their passing offense based on what they had in front of them on the offensive line. That is back in this game. And that was everything I was talking about, how they can win without Saquon. I think that still exists. They're going to need Saquon versus, in a couple of weeks, the Bills, Washington, the Jets. Games that they're going to have an opportunity to win. They should be able to beat the Seahawks defense that Andy Dalton just dropped 27 points on without Saquon Barkley and risking the future of his season.
Yeah, the Seahawks they're not a great, especially not in the pass defense. They play a lot of zone, a lot of things happen in front of them. I think they're 4th or so most yards after the catch in the NFL right now. So the plays are there to be had against Seattle's defense. They do not have a great pass defense. That is right. But if they don't have to face Saquon Barkley and they don't have to commit extra resources to stopping the run, how much harder does it become to throw the football? And let's face it, I like Daniel Jones a lot. I think he's worth the $40 million, but not sitting back in the pocket and throwing the ball 38 times a game. I need Daniel Jones to be what Daniel Jones was a year ago. Diverse, athletic, get out of the pocket, move the pocket, run, all these other things. That's how he became the $40 million quarterback.
And when he became that $40 million man, guess who was on the field with him 90% of the time? Saquon Barkley was. So when you want the old Daniel Jones or the Daniel Jones from last year that every Giant fan needs, especially in this game Monday night against Seattle, my eyes have told me that we've only seen that guy when Saquon Barkley's been out there. Yeah. And you're right about the Seattle defense, but let's not leave out the fact that the Seattle Seahawks are scoring 30 points a game.
Yes.
And it's possible if this defense doesn't clean up their act and start tackling better and get some pressure on the quarterback, that they may have to score 30 in this game. They may have to score 35 in this game. This may be a shootout on Monday night. Again, if you go into that gunfight against Seattle and it's a high-scoring affair, what gives you the best chance to win? Having the premier back on the field, even if he's at 80%? He's got to be out there Monday night.
I think he's also just he needs to prove this. He needs it, right? From a perception that persists around him because of the injury history.
Do you think that perception is Saquon? Like, he's been a Giant for a bunch of years now. Is the perception of Saquon Barkley, he's a great talent, but he's always hurt?
Yes, that is. It is, man, when he's healthy, there's not many better than him. Maybe Christian McCaffrey. Maybe. I wouldn't even put Derrick Henry in that conversation anymore because as Derrick gets older, he becomes less dynamic, as we saw last weekend. You can game plan to stop Derrick Henry. It gets really hard to game plan a guy who can catch the ball, led the team in receptions a year ago. Yeah. Right? He obviously led the team in rushing with 1,300 yards.
Him and Richie James led the team in receptions last year. That's all you need to know.
Exactly. So when you have that dynamic, healthy player, the Giants are a different team. They have a chance to win when he looks like that. We saw it when his rookie season, and we saw it last year. When he's not there,
he's neither dynamic or healthy.
Yeah, but
he's still a threat when he's out there.
He's still a threat.
No, he's not off of these ankle injuries.
If he is not out, he's not out right now, right? So he whatever they did on Tuesday, I think it was like a walkthrough. So he was listed as out, but it was a walkthrough.
Today he's been practicing gingerly. I've seen some videos. He's out on the field. It doesn't look like he's full go, but he's at least walking around.
Yes, and by tomorrow he'll feel a little bit better. By Saturday he'll be a bit better. Sunday, hopefully it's starting to feel like, all right, I'm running well. And I don't have pain laterally or straight ahead running. And then Sunday or Monday, you get a workout. He feels great. He's going to play. He's got to play.
What if he doesn't? Who does that look bad on? Him? Is it all on him?
It doesn't look bad on anybody. It just is what it is, and it's probably going to be the determination of Ronnie Barnes and not Saquon Barkley.
But that's my question. Who ultimately decides this? He's out there practicing. He's trending in the right direction according to Brian Daboll. Who makes this decision?
So here's the thing. It's a weird I'm protecting you from yourself thing. In my era, and not that, back in my day, but in my era, if you wanted to play, you played. Period. Unless you were really hurt, or had a ACL or something that was damning or dangerous or whatever it may be, you played. Right? You made this decision. If you could push through it, you did it. That's changed over the years with the emphasis on player health and safety, obviously with the concussions, but it's everything that we don't talk about all the time. The team has much more say than I think it used to. But ultimately, this is an injury that's not. It's not. I don't know if it's going to get worse unless he does something acute. And so I think he wants to play. If he's out there practicing today, even if it's in a limited fashion, that means he's trending towards playing. And without him, this Giants team is very, very different.
Oh, no question. That's why, look, can the Giants beat the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night without Saquon Barkley? Yes, they can. Of course they can.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make it an unwinnable game if he's not out there. But to me, the chances are much greater when he's out there, even if he isn't the explosive guy that you've seen, Sean, coming off of these injuries. The threat of Saquon Barkley, to me, makes a difference. Because I saw a team a week ago that didn't even try to run the ball. Now, I grant you, Andrew Thomas didn't play. I'm not trying to minimize the issues on the offensive line. But a lot of it's also, do they trust Gary Brightwell? Do they trust Eric Gray? Do they trust Matt Breida? And the answer is, compared to Saquon Barkley, no. And so I just wonder, can this offense be even close to dynamic that they may need to be, especially if this defense doesn't clean up its act? Because we could talk a lot about Seattle's bad defense. You're right. What about the fact they're scoring a ton of points? What about the fact you may need to put up 30 on Monday night against Seattle? And if that's what you need to do, then he's got to be out there.
You know what? Not for nothing. Shame on Joe Shane then if we're in a place in week 4 that this offense needs Saquon Barkley to go beat the Seattle Seahawks. I'm sorry.
Why shame on Joe Shane?
Because by now, in year 2, he's invested a second-round pick in Wandell, a third-round pick in Jalen Hyatt, that trade for Darren Waller, finding Isaiah Hodgins off waivers. He has done a lot of stuff along the offense. And, oh, by the way, assets invested in the offensive line. I'm sorry, the reason running backs are devalued is because you could usually plug and play other guys by committee and figure it out, and teams score every single week. And I have been a Daniel Jones defender, supporter, and I'm with them that the offensive line has sucked. If the offensive line, as we planned it, is in its entirety on Monday night, and this is a defense that has seen the likes of Matt Stafford with Puka Nacua, and then,
Nice.
Andy Dalton go up and down the field on him, the Giants should not need Saquon Barkley to drop 31 and shouldn't hinder the rest of his season to force him out there compromised to do so. I'm sorry. Shame on Joe Shane if they're not ready to do this.
The alternatives are not even close. That's my take on it. The alternatives aren't close.
I don't know why I needed this, but I kind of needed this for my soul. A little Giant civil war. I don't know. For whatever reason, it warms my cockles.
Look, I know about this running back position in the NFL, okay?
Yeah, you do.